Hi everybody, I'm Sean James and this is Kentucky, the mini truck state. On today's video, we're going to work on my welding cart. I'm trying to make it a little more useful. I built this cart about 10 years ago before I really used one a whole lot, so it's not the best setup. And I came across a really nice Craftsman toolbox that I'm going to turn into a really nice rolling welding cart with drawers for storage and stuff like that. So before we get into that, let's make sure and do all the good YouTube stuff. Make sure and hit the like switch. Make sure and comment down below. That really seems to help the channel a lot. Make sure and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future videos. And make sure and share the video if you like what you see. So far, we've had really good progress with people sharing my content. I really do appreciate it, especially over on Facebook. A lot of people are sharing the reels and stuff I post for when videos come out, stuff that's coming up, and stuff like that. I do post quite a bit more on Facebook. It's actually through Instagram, but reels and stuff basically are about 2 weeks ahead of what I'm actually doing in the shop for the videos. So please check that out. Again, it's Kentucky, the mini truck state, both on Facebook and on Instagram. So please give them a check. So what we're going to do today is we're going to get into getting this toolbox torn down and getting it ready to make it into a welding cart. I have a few things that have been laying around the house that I could use for parts and stuff like that. The reason we're doing this is we're currently waiting on ordering and receiving parts for the Mazda. We've had some really bad weather the last few weeks between snow. We had 13 inches of rain last week. We have 7 to 7 inches of snow right now outside. So we are off work, and if I don't work, we don't make money. If I don't make money, I can't buy truck parts. So right now we're currently waiting on getting the parts together. We have most of the stuff that we need for the rear end. We're currently waiting on the rear end axle bearings and stuff like that to come in. And once they get here, then we can take the bed back off, we can get the rear end rebuilt and have the thing ready to be a rolling chassis where we can actually maybe get it outside for a picture for the first time. But before we can do that, let's go ahead and get this welding cart started. So to get started, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and break the cart down. We're going to take the casters off of it. I have heavier weighted casters. They're 125 pounds a piece. That way, when you put the welder on one side and the welding bottle on the other side, it's not going to overweigh the casters and have a problem with that. The ones on this welding cart right now, they are, I think, like 1.5 inches. So if you hit anything, it drags. There's nothing holding the welder in place. So it wants to slide around. The bottle in the back has quite a bit of slop too, and I don't like that either. So basically, we want to make it where it's more manageable to move around. There are plenty of videos on YouTube about people who are doing this, so feel free to check that out if you're interested in this idea. This is just how I'm going to do it. Again, I'm not a teacher. I don't know much about anything. This is just the way that I'm going to do it from what I've seen other people do. So if you like the video, make sure and hit the like switch. Make sure and comment down below, and let's get into it. As you can see, this is a nice Craftsman toolbox that I found online. Got it fairly cheap for 50 bucks. So it'll work perfectly for what I want to do with it. It'll have plenty of storage for grinding wheels and stuff like that. Some of the stuff on this back wall to make it more mobile. That way I'm not having to run back and forth to the wall when I'm working on stuff. Place to keep my gloves and stuff like that. The plan is to put the welder on this side and the bottle on that side. I said I had a piece of scrap metal, so I have this rectangle angle iron thing. It was for a rack that went on the back of my truck to haul stuff, and I never used it, so I'm just going to break it down, clean it up, and use it to make a frame. So I want to make a frame for the cart to actually sit on. I'll cut part of this welding cart off and let it sit on the angle iron. It'll have to be chopped up and shortened up as well to fit inside there, but that'll be all part of it. So let's go ahead and get the future welding cart broke down. We'll go ahead and get the casters off the bottom, get it set up. This top piece, it's removable. It's just sitting on there. So we'll take it off just to get it out of the way. And we'll flip it upside down so we get measurements and start figuring out how we need to cut our angle iron over here to make it fit the bottom so we have something for everything to sit on. Now that we have it broke down, we can get our measurements for what we need. We got about 18 1/8 is tight. 18 1/8 is loose. 26 5/8. 26 5/8. So not too bad out of square, but what we'll have to do is take and figure out how far we want this stuff to hang over. I did some preliminary measurements. I want to leave this about 7.5 for the bottle and 11.5 for the welder. And so I had that figured out to 46 and I believe 5/8 total. What we'll go ahead and do is cut that down widthwise and lengthwise and have to weld it all together. It'd be kind of a pain in the neck, but that's just kind of part of it. I knew it was going to be like that whenever I decided to do this, so I'm trying to think of the best way to do that to make it easy on myself. Likely I'll just take and cut one side off and shorten it up, cut the other side off and make it shorter that way. That way I'm not having all four apart at the same time, be a lot more extra work. So we'll get set up on the sawhorses here and we'll go over the measurements of what we're going to do. All right, we'll kind of go over how I got the measurements for what I want to do, the way I set this up. So we know the toolbox itself is 26 5/8. So we'll put a small mark there. We know we want 7.5 on the bottle side, so we'll mark that. And then we want 11.5 on the other side, and we'll mark that. So when we measure that, we get 46 5/8. And so I want that to be the outside measurement. We know this angle iron is 2 inches wide, so we'll step back because we need to cut it off to weld it back together. So what we'll do is we'll measure back 2 inches. And we'll cut it 44. What is that? Oh, it's 45 5/8. So we'll go back to 43 5/8 and make a mark there. And I think the easiest way for me to do this would be to measure up on both sides, cut both sides off, pull it up, tack it, weld one side, tack the other side, and then measure the width, which is 18 1/8 on the inside, and then we'll just cut both these off, bring them in, and weld the whole thing up together. And then once we get it ready to weld, we'll clean all this rust and stuff off of it. I've got some black spray paint somewhere, or I've got some Rust-Oleum. We can brush it on. I'm not too worried about it looking perfect, so I think that's what we're going to do. So let's go ahead and mark this. Like I said, 43 5/8. Got one there. Mark 43 5/8 down here. And then we'll cut that line off. And then we'll cut this square across here where we can rejoin it into this and just weld it right back up. And then again, once we get it that well together, we'll cut the other side, we'll shorten it up, and that should fit right over the bottom of that toolbox where we can attach it back to this box. And I'm going to make some sort of spacers to space this off. The casters will be out to the outside where the tank and the welder are to help support as much of the weight of that as it can. The cart itself will not be very heavy, so I'm not too worried about that bowing. We'll be able to bow that to the cart and all that as well. So let's jump to a time lapse. I'll go ahead and get this all cut down and set up, and we'll go from there. All right, we got that welded up. It doesn't look great, but it's a welding cart. I'm not gonna get too worried about it. what we'll do is we'll let that cool off. We'll come back. We'll do some finish sanding on it, some flap wheel disc on it, and then we'll test fit it. We can probably test fit it now. It won't hurt anything. We can probably do that real quick. So let me get you set up for that. Now it should fit a little better. Still gonna be tight, but that's fine. There we go. Now we got it on there. So you can kind of see what the plan there is. I'll get the set up. Is we'll set it off 11.5, 7.5, and that should give us something for the welder to sit on, the bottle to sit on. We'll have the casters underneath both sides. That way the weight's distributed to that. The box itself will be just sitting on that frame. I don't think it's going to hurt anything. We could drill a hole through the back and fasten it so it can't come off there if we wanted to. But like I said, we're going to let this cool off. I'll come back and we'll clean it up here in just a few minutes. Before I get the toolbox set up here, what I want to do is go ahead and get a measurement for the cart where I want the welder to sit. And we need 11.5 inches on the inside for that to sit. So we'll mark 11.5 right there. And it's square, so once it sits on that mark, that'll be where we want it. Here to get it nice and clean. Just a little bit more forward. All right, there we go. So now you kind of see it's starting to look like a cart, kind of. So the bottle's going to sit right here on this end. As long as we have, I believe it's 7 inches, we'll be okay. That's exactly what we have. So what I want to do is cut a piece of 3/16 to set in here for that to sit on. And like I said, then when we drill the holes for the casters, that'll actually bolt it in place for it to sit on, and it should be okay to sit there. I've got another piece of angle iron if I need to put it underneath that, just to support that bottle, keep it from moving. Then I plan on making some sort of bracket up here that'll go around, and then the bottle will sit in it, and have some sort of way to lock it in place. So I think I need to get the welder set first. Make sure this is over as far as we can get it and leave as much room as we can there, just to make sure we're not going to fight it. But let's go ahead and get the welder set up there. In order to change that bottle out, you got to pick it straight up to get it out of there. And they're not light. It's kind of a pain in the butt. It was a bad idea. Like I said, this was I would say 13 years ago we moved into this house. I bought that welder shortly after we moved in here. So yeah, I've learned a little bit since then, but I'm still not that bright. So if you look outside, see we got a little bit of snow. Oh boy. That's why we're working in the garage. And but anyway, so let's go ahead and get this welder kind of taken apart. I want to get the measurements first and mark it. And then we'll just cut it apart and do like we did earlier, just fab it together the way we need to. Think about it a little bit more this time before I just start cutting stuff apart and make it work a little bit better. All right, I got it figured out. We got to cut it down to 13.5. So what we'll go ahead and do is go ahead and get it marked on all 4 sides, get it cut down, and get it shortened up, and then weld the back legs back on. We'll get it set in the tray. got our piece cut, ready to get in there. Fits in there real nice and clean, so that is going to work out just fine. The bottle will sit on that, and I don't think it's going to have any issue with it pushing it down. That's the piece of 3/16, and it's going to be supported all the way around the edge, so I don't think we'll have a problem with that at all. So I think what we can do now is go ahead and drill our holes, and we'll use the casters where that bolts in to hold that in place. There's no sense of welding that in there. I could probably tack it in a few places if I wanted to. I do want to make something around the bottom to hold that bottle from moving side to side like this. Woo-hoo. We don't want that. So I'll come up with something there here in just a minute. I've only got a little bit of 3/16 left. I've used quite a bit of it. That's what I've gotten them down to. About, I think it's 2 foot by about 20 inches maybe. So I'll have to be careful and not waste it. I'll end up having to get more here shortly, so it's not a real big deal. But I want to make sure that bottle is sturdy, because that's the one thing. The other one, it would go side to side, but it would never fall over. I want to make sure and make it a lot better attachment there. So we'll have to figure out how I want to do that. But I've got some 1/8 inch, which may work well for that too, because it doesn't have to be super thick to hold that. It just has to be a decent connection to the box so it doesn't move around. But so far it's coming together pretty good. Get an overall kind of view. Zoom out. There we go. See how it's starting to kind of look like a cart. Like I said, the next thing we need to do is go ahead and get the casters on and get this thing on the ground. And that way we can kind of see better what it's going to look like. Maybe you can set the welder on it and see how it's going to work out, because at this point it's going to have to. I cut my welding cart apart. So that's not a big deal. Let's get it cleaned up and see if we can't get the casters put on it. And we're back. So my phone died while I was doing the last little bit of fabrication. I didn't realize it until I looked up and saw my phone was dead. I didn't feel like stopping at the point because I was just drilling holes for the casters and stuff like that. So it's not really a big deal. We're not really missing much. I went ahead and mocked it up to see what it's going to look like, and here's what we got so far. So it's looking pretty good. I'm happy with how it's turning out. The welder fits good. It's nice and below the top there, so I don't have to worry about it hitting anything. I've got to go to the hardware store and get different bolts for the bottom. The ones I have were just a hair too short, and the ones I have down there are way too long. So the plan is I want to do like I did over here, where I bolted this in at the bottom where the casters will hold it in. It also holds that plate in the bottom. I'll do the same thing over there, but I'll use 1/8 inch steel instead of 3/16. There's no need for 3/16 on that side of it. It's just going to be for the welding leads and the ground lead and stuff like that. So no real big deal there. I've got a template made that fits around the tank really good and tight. Let me get this out of the way. Hard to do one-handed here. But it fits very, very snug to that. And so the idea is I want to take and cut basically 4 of these, 2 of each side. Cut that off, put an angle there, and we'll make it about maybe 2 inches wide. That way I can put something on there to strap it and hold it tight so I don't have to worry about it falling off there. I don't like it sitting up there right now, just like it is, because if it does fall off, it would be a lot of trouble. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly get this template made, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what we're going to cut it out. We'll set the sawhorses up, and we'll go ahead and get that stuff cut out and get it ready to weld in. So let's get to it. I like where this bottle's setting. It's towards the back of the rack there. And so what I want to do is just mark this where it's flush with the back. I'm going to square off that and keep that there. And then up here, I just probably going to just take and run this at an angle just to get a little bit of support. Give it just a little bit of a cool kind of look to it maybe. So that there, that's still good. So yeah, we'll just come off here, and whatever this width is here, we'll make it the same on this side, and then just cut that off straight. So find my square, and I marked a straight line across that. The heater's making racket. So we're looking at about 1 inch, so we'll make this 1 inch over here as well. And what we'll do is we'll just take and cut it straight across right there. The idea I have is I want to take and cut this here, stay back behind this just a little bit. I've got a little bit of a gap here behind the tank, and I want to leave it where basically this runs into nothing, this run into nothing, but then when I put the strap across the back to bolt it to the cabinet, that'll tie it together. I can put a piece of foam in there so this isn't beating around and making racket. So we'll cut this off and cut this off. I'll make 2 of these and 2 of those, and then 1 strap to strap it all together all the way around it, and we'll do that with our skill saw blade. So let's get set up to get this cut out and make. So now we have the setup here. We'll use the board so it doesn't cut into our metal, keep our blade nice and sharp. Straight across there. There's that. There's that. All right, so now all we gotta do is mark this onto our steel. All right, so what we'll do is we'll take the saw and we'll just cut this off here. Cut that there, where we can. Then the rest of it we'll have to take out with a grinder. All right, now that we have those cut out, we can test and see how they fit. So it's gonna come up. Right there's good. Right there's good. Push the tank back. Be all right. So we need to leave about a 1/2 inch gap between them. And I think we'll be good there. So yeah, that's gonna work out really, really well. Well, I got sidetracked watching the Bang Shift podcast with Crawford the other night. And then once I got done with that, I haven't been back on the toolbox in about 3 or 4 days. The weather turned really nice. We got busy at work, and then coming home, I decided I want to clean my garage up. I'll show you that here in just a minute. While I was listening to the podcast, I went ahead and made the mount. I didn't record anything because I was using my phone to watch the podcast, but I did get it made, and it turned out really nice. Strap across the back, so I have something to bolt it to the cabinet. I metal finished it. Well, it's all completely welded except for the ends that are open. I plan on using carriage bolts here, drill a hole, have the bolt come out where I can bolt it to the cabinet, and then we'll make some sort of a strap to hold the tank in place. I plan on putting some sort of weather strip on this. That way the bottle doesn't tang, make a bunch of racket when you're moving it around. In order to do that, I'm going to pull the top 2 drawers out. I may just pull all of them out just to get them out of the way. They come out really easily. We need to get that mounted, and then once we get that figured out, we can get that ready to paint. I've got some Rust-Oleum black paint. I'm not going to worry too much about making it look real super pretty. I've got to make a shelf for the bottom left side under the welder for the welding leads, the welding grounds, and just a few miscellaneous things to go to. I'm really happy with how that bottom tray on the right side turned out with the, I think it's 1/8 inch, or no, it's 3/16. So that bottle sit on, there's like 1 3/4 inch lip now for that to sit on, so there's no way it's going to fall off that cart, and I have a place to keep the lid for the bottle itself, so I don't have to worry about trying to keep it tracked down. But like I said, I got sidetracked with the video, and then I decided to clean my garage up. The first time in a long time that I can say that I have that much space on that side of my garage. Like, that's huge. So I got my table put against the wall. I took that bicycle that y'all saw always stand up on the trash in the back. I cut it apart. The frame was broken. So I'm gonna make a wall mount for that, for the fork and the handlebars. I used to race that bike, I don't know, probably for 6 or 7 years. Did a lot of 12-hour events, 6-hour events, 40-mile mountain bike races. A lot of training on it, so I can't just get rid of the whole thing, but the frame was broke. I tried to fix it. I had a friend try to fix it. I wasn't really happy with how it turned out, so I've just decided that it wasn't worth saving. It was just, storing it a pain in the neck, so I just took a Sawzall, cut it up, kept a good piece for a wall hanger, and that's what it'll be. But yeah, I'm real happy to have all this extra space now. I'm not crowded in there, so I still got a few things I need to haul off and get rid of, but kind of dragging along here. But what we'll do is go ahead and get these drawers taken out and get the holes drilled in that piece and get it ready to mount. I'm probably going to skip a few steps here and there. I don't want this video to be really long. It's not terribly long yet, but I don't want it to be around an hour or something like that. So but let's go ahead and we'll get the drawers pulled out. All right, now that we got that mounted up, you can see it's that's just awesome fit. So that's going to work really good. It has really, it's not moving there at all. So all we got to do now is make a strap to go around that. I thought I had a piece cut. I can't find it, so I'll probably have to cut another one. I'll worry about that another night, probably tomorrow. I'd like to get this bottom piece cut. I don't think I want to make it. It doesn't need to be 1/8 inch. That's too heavy. I might just so I don't have to worry about anything falling down there and messing it up. I'll do that. I'll make it an 1/8 inch. I got all that on that table laying right there. We can cut a piece out. We'll get it measured, get it marked out, and we'll cut it with a saw. Then we'll have to take and notch the corners with the cutoff wheel. So once I get that cut, what I'll plan to do is just take everything off the cart, and then where it's bolted, the cashers are bolted down. I got shorter bolts for that. It'd be the same bolts I use to bolt that thing on, carriage bolts, and I'll bolt that through that tray like I did the other side down here. I've got it going through the plate. I'll do the same thing on this side, and that way that tray is steady. We don't have to worry about nothing there. Then I have a place to take and put my leads. That hook's not going to work. I could raise it up, but it's still a bad angle. I'd be able to push the cart around because the way it is right now, it's not easily moved. So, and I've got to make it where it's probably removable or stays out of the way of the door. I didn't really think that far ahead. I probably could have put the cashers on the other side, put a handle over there, but yeah, it's all right. We'll make it work. It's not like you move your welding cart around much once you get it where you need it. So, and it kind of stays in the middle of the shop here. So, shop. This is a garage, not a shop. So let's go ahead and get that bottom measured. We'll get it cut, and I'll come back once we get it fitted and get it in there. So we're gonna take a little break with the camera, and we'll catch you when we get it in there. My daughter just disappeared in the corner. So I've got everything done as far as the fabrication on this, other than that hoop for the bottle. And we can do that once we get it done. I've got to get this ready to paint. I'm probably just gonna take some sandpaper, just rough it up. I'm not too worried about it sticking. It's not like it's gonna be out in the elements or something like that. So I've got some Rust-Oleum oil-based paint, some cheap paint brushes, and I'll probably just paint the stuff. There's no reason to record that. Y'all have seen stuff painted a billion times. So once we get that painted, we'll get it put back together. We'll see what this thing looks like. All right, I stayed in the shop yesterday afternoon, and I got the cart painted. It's actually nice we go outside. It's really windy, but the cart itself turned out really nice. That's that Rust-Oleum satin and a semi-gloss that's mixed together. I really like the way that turns out. It's not too shiny, it's not too dull. So all we gotta do now is get it inside, start putting it together. We are out in the garage watching Magic Man Metal Fab work on his new shop. Talk about having creature comforts in your garage to keep you out there working, and I've got my TV out here to help keep me working. Now, let's get into what we all want to see, and let's see what this welding cart looks like, how it turned out. Looks good. Looks good. I went ahead and made the strap to hold the tank on. It just bolts on, like I said. It's not like you have to remove it 1,000 times a day, so that's not gonna be a problem to have to bolt it on there. I made it out of 18 gauge. I will paint it black to match, but I'm not really too worried about that. It is very secure. I can shake it hard. It makes no noise, so I will not have to worry about it falling off there or being annoying at all. I got my daughter with me now. Well, she's always here, but they gave us a banner from the high school. She was the color guard captain at the high school. She was very good at that, and they did very well in the school. So, just a good way to keep her with me. I got the lower section here. I can put my leads over here. I can put my ground lead. I got the cap for the bottle down there, but it all turned out really good, man. I used a satin black and semi-gloss black Rust-Oleum mix. Give it a really nice sheen. I really like the way it looks. It matches the toolbox really well. You haven't seen this. I've got the bed back off the Mazda. Me and Dakota Aaron go this weekend, or possibly this weekend. I finally got all the parts in for my Mazda. Man, I've been waiting on those things for a long time. Not sure what the issue was, but we finally got it. So I've got the axle seals, axle bearings, all the rear brake hardware kits, all that stuff, and I've got the brake shoes. So we're going to completely rebuild the rear end other than the center section. So we'll have to pull it out. That's why I went ahead and pulled the bed off. I don't want to have to go in and fabricate all of the filler panels that go underneath the bed, which I've got over there. I'll show those later. But I don't want to try and get them installed and then have to take them out to pull the rear end out again. So I want to go ahead and get the rear end fixed, get it painted, and get it reinstalled for the last time. Find out why I'm having issues with the truck not wanting to roll. I know the front tires are working fine. It's something in the rear end. It may be something silly, so I'm not too worried about it, but we'll figure that out. I want to make sure and tell you guys, I appreciate you guys joining the channel, following along, all that good stuff. Make sure and do all the good YouTube stuff. Make sure and hit the like switch, comment down below, hit the notification bell so you don't miss future videos, and make sure and share the videos. You know, that really helps me a lot. I do appreciate it. I realize this isn't a very mini truck friendly video. There's not really any truck progress on this, but I had to do something to keep videos going. I needed a new welding cart. The one I had wasn't working, and now I've got all sorts of good things. Oh, and don't forget, I've got a great place for my Crawford clamp. So now I've got a place where I can do big jobs. I don't think I'm going to leave the fab table on top of this, though. It's just sitting there just for the fact it's not comfortable to sit there and try and work on top of that. So I will figure something else out with that, but just for a place to kind of store it is a good place. Plus, I don't have to worry about getting all that debris from welding, possibly getting in the welder and causing an issue there. But yeah, there we go. That is done. All right, again, I said that's going to wrap this video up. I appreciate you guys for following along. Make sure and hit the like switch, comment down below, hit the notification bell. Make sure and share the video. I do appreciate it. And we'll make sure and catch you guys in the next one.
You need to damn boat. Making me the damn boat.